Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right, only 19 minutes late. We are officially here. It's just me and Chuck today, and you're going to have to put up with crappy audio from me because Google Hangouts hates me today and it won't detect my Rode mic for some reason.
Yeah, he's calling in from like a landline, you know, from a rotary phone.
Yes.
Oh man, that's okay. You know, nothing else is working for me today, so.
Okay, well.
Let me just have my little fit.
Glad I'm not the only one. Go for it.
Oh man. Yeah, well, except my audio setup apparently.
Yeah, your audio sounds great.
Yeah, I sound beautiful. Anyway, so I was up until around 1 or 2 writing show notes again.
Oh no.
Yeah, guess what? Some people are fired.
Yeah. How many?
I'm sorry.
People is plural now. It sounds like.
Yeah. So I had something. So there are 2 people that I had working on the show notes, and they both told me, yeah, it's fine. I can handle the shows that you've handed off to me, and we'll get them out there. And so the one person that I had 5 of the shows assigned to, yeah, she flaked out. So, and she flaked out last week. So 3 episodes from last week didn't go, and then none of the episodes this week went except 1. And that was assigned to the other person that I have working the show notes. And she got 1 of 2 of the shows that she was supposed to get done this week. So, yeah, fired. I mean, just tell me, you know, if life happens to you, just tell me, right? I'll plan around it. But, you know, you disappear on me for 10 days and I'm sorry, but you're done. Because wow. I can't count on it. I can't count on you, and I'm not gonna do it. I mean, the flip side is that I also feel like I bear some responsibility just because I haven't been as rigorous about the process as I should. But I just assume these folks would just, you know, pick things up and get things done, and it would all be happy, and that is not the case. So anyway, so that's one thing, and then the other thing, and I'll talk about what I'm going to do to fix that in a minute. The other thing is that our utility bills have been super high lately for the last few months. And, you know, I called the city up and I'm like, what is the deal? You know, why are our bills so high? And so they go and they look and they're like, well, your water usage is high. Okay. And I'm like, well, we're not using a lot of water. They're like, well, it's really, really high. And we don't meter sewer. We just meter water. So we base your sewer billing on your water billing, right? So I get double dinged for it, right?
Okay.
Well, my wife was complaining about a smell coming out of the crawl space under the house.
Oh, no.
So I had a few minutes this morning and, you know, I was thinking about it. So I opened up the crawl space and went down there and had a look. And the pipe that comes into the house, that brings the water into the house, yeah, it's dumping water like crazy.
Oh my gosh.
And it's probably been doing that for a couple of months.
Oh.
The good news is it's not totally flooded down there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of formed a little bit of a basin there, so it's just a puddle probably a couple feet across. But it's I'm gonna go buy me some rubber boots and then I'm gonna go back down there so that I can actually get a good look at it, because I kind of had to lean over it. I had this crappy little flashlight in my hand, so I couldn't actually tell where it was leaking from. So I just went out to the water meter, because that's the other thing is the water shut off for the houses down there where it comes in, but it's leaking from the wrong side of that water shut off.
So like the city side?
Or... Yeah. So if I had shut off the water right there, it wouldn't have done anything.
Right.
But luckily there's a water meter out in front of the house and there's another shut off out there. Okay. And so I shut it off there, because it's got to be broken somewhere right by where it comes into the house. So
yeah,
shutting it off out there will definitely fix it. So yeah, so now I'm going to go down there with a more powerful flashlight and have a look. And hopefully what I'm hoping to see is I'm hoping to be able to see where it's leaking from. Because if I can see where it's leaking from, that means I don't have to dig on the outside of the foundation down 4 or 5 feet to get to where the pipe comes into the house to fix it from out there.
Is that really even your responsibility though? Shouldn't that be the city or like whoever's providing your water?
No, I'm pretty sure it's my
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think around here, if I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess like if they like basically the city can come and like say, hey, we're replacing all the sewer lines. We're gonna replace the sewer line up to your house. We don't have a say in it, but I think we have to pay for the excavation and the repairs and everything, or
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that kind of stinks, but
Yeah, I think the city has an easement for that kind of thing, with any house in the city. But
okay. Well,
yeah,
the good news
I
is you
think
found
they're
the problem.
responsible for the pipe up to the property line or up to the water meter. I'm not sure which.
Okay. Well, the good news is you found the problem. So,
Yeah, and what's really sad is that it was dumping so much water that I'm pretty sure it basically doubled our utility bill.
oh man. Well, what you can do? Get an extension cord.
Uh-huh.
Take the extension cord down there, cut the end off of it, and stick it in the water. So that way your electricity bill will also go up, and all
There
of
we
your
go.
utilities can be higher. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Send all that stuff into the ground.
So yeah, so Murphy lives here. But yeah, and then last week I think I talked about landing this sponsor, and yeah, I still haven't been paid by anybody, so I've got outstanding invoices and no money coming in. I did borrow some money that should be able to get us through and should be able to fix the issue down in the under the house. If it's inside, if it's outside, I don't know what we're gonna do about it.
Oh man.
But we can't operate without water here, so.
Yeah. So are you did you get is that sponsor still looking good for
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah.
They're gonna pay for it. They just haven't done it yet.
Yep.
They're gonna make
So
you sweat.
yeah, they're like, well, we operate net 30, and I was like, well, I could use the
Yeah.
money sooner, and they said, well, let me see what I can do.
We operate net 30.
So
Yeah.
anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's just been a little bit tricky. But yeah. So yeah, I'll go have a look at it, and we'll see what we can do about it, and hopefully we can get her fixed today. If not, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess we rent a backhoe and dig out the side of the house, but
Man.
yeah. But the other issue is like that side of the house where the water comes in. That's also where the power comes in. We've got a sprinkler box over there. I mean, it's going to be stupid. It's going to be such a pain if we have to dig it out. What I'm really hoping is, yeah, it's just pouring water out right there.
Yeah. Is there a way to know? How would you?
Other than looking at it, no, probably not. I'm hoping I can look at it and just see a crack in like the joint, because it's just got an elbow coupler on it.
Right.
Yeah, and if I can't, then I'll go turn the water back on and see if I can tell where it's coming from that way. I may actually get a rag and just stuff it into that hole around the pipe. And that way I can see if the water is coming through that hole or not. Because if it's coming through that hole, then I've got a leak in the wall or outside of the wall. And then I have to dig it out. And then if it's, if I can block it off so that it, wouldn't be coming in through there and it's still dumping water, then I know that I've got a problem inside and I can just deal with it that way.
Okay.
And if I'm dealing with it that way, then I just have to get the right kind of coupler. I just cut it off and connect it again. So, and it's PVC pipe in the house, so that, I have pretty much everything I need to fix that. So it's just getting that right
easy
joint.
stuff.
But yeah, so yeah, And yeah, so anyway, I actually posted to Twitter basically. So the day that got sidelined into doing show notes just got sidelined into doing plumbing.
Nice.
So yeah. So yeah, I don't need to sleep tonight. It's fine. But yeah. Anyway, so as far as the production issues go, essentially what I've decided to do is I'm probably gonna hire 3 or 4 technical writers to do my show notes.
Yeah.
And then essentially what I'm gonna tell them is you're responsible for these shows. And that way I have some redundancy between these folks, right? And so then it's your job is to get these shows scheduled for release. And
Yeah.
and then if you can't do it by the due date, then you need to let this person know, right? Or you need to go to the chat channel, the Slack channel, and say, hey, I can't get these done this week. Can somebody help me out? And then the other thing I did is I talked to Eric because he's been editing the shows, and man, he's a trooper. He gets it done. He's been doing really great. But I also decided, you know what? I need a little bit of lead time if somebody isn't going to get the show notes done so that I can just do it if I absolutely have to. And so I decided, you know what? I need basically 3 days lead time so that I can just fit it into my schedule if it's not going to happen.
Okay.
And so I'm going to set the due date for the technical writers to be 3 days before release.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
good.
then I went to Eric and I said, hey, so if this is the case, then is there any way you can get episodes edited a week before release? And he basically said, yeah, I can do that, but I don't always get the audio in time. And so basically what that's done is it put me in a position where I have committed now to having everything that he needs to edit a show 2 weeks before the show goes out.
Okay, that's good.
And so that sets those timelines and those kind of hard
Yep.
Anyway, so the other thing that does then is it kind of forces me to push on my hosts a little bit and say, look, we need to be 2 weeks ahead because that's just our production timeline at this point.
It really isn't like a one-time cost too, right? You might have to like run a little bit to get caught up, but then once you do, it's the same as it always was. It's not.
Yeah.
It.
Well, and it sounded like because I was chatting with Eric this morning, and it sounded like he has another editor that's going to be helping him get caught up and get ahead. And caught up meaning I moved the line, and so we're not caught up anymore because I moved the line, right? Not because he wasn't performing. But anyway, so yeah, if we can get so he's gonna looks like he's gonna bring somebody else in, and we can just nail it. So I've got to pull some stuff together and make it happen. The nice thing about some of this though is that like Adventures in Angular is my show that always seems to be either getting behind on recording or not producing stuff. So what I think I'm going to do with those shows is I think I'm just with that one in particular. I have Angular Dev Summit coming up next week, and so I can use some of those talks to backfill. And then the other thing is that I've had I listened to a few other shows, and a lot of times if they don't have something to release, they'll recycle another episode. And so like Adventures in Angular, our first episode, we had Mishko Hevery and some of the other folks from the Angular core team that were there when they started the project talk about where it came from. And so I can recycle that and people will be interested in it. I can recycle some of the other stuff and people will be interested in it. So
yeah, I've been doing that with my daily emails lately. I actually cut back to just 2 days a week. I'm writing new ones, and then I'm taking all the old ones that I've written. I have like 2 years worth that I wrote that, and I'm like editing them so that they're evergreen, and then I'm sticking them in an evergreen. So now like everybody that comes in, when you sign up for my list now, you're not getting broadcasts anymore. You're getting autoresponders. I hadn't done this because I was writing stuff and it had time references in it. So I'm just going in and removing the time references, and
Oh,
then
nice.
it's evergreen. Yeah. So
instead of saying last week, it was.
yeah, or like a lot of times I'll say like yesterday something happened, or and the other ones that's a problem is like when I tell stories about like my kids or something, and their ages have changed right in the last 2 years, so I'll have to like figure out how to make it.
Yeah. When my son was
When my son
4,
was
blah blah
5,
blah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. It takes about 2 minutes honestly per email.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so you can, but yeah, recycling them, that's a great idea. You might even consider just doing that regularly to take some of the pressure off. 1 week a
Yeah.
month or something. I don't
What
know
was that?
if
Do it
you
for
might
what?
even like maybe like one a month or one every other month or something to give your crew a break.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I think I'm going to use it for when we have to skip,
Yeah.
and then we'll kind of go from there. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm also, I have data on which ones are more popular, so
Right.
I can go back and hit some of those. But some of them I can't recycle because, again, it's the timing issue,
Yeah,
like you mentioned.
exactly.
So, for example, we talked about Angular 2 for like a year while they were still developing it, and just
Okay.
talked about some of the stuff that was coming. And obviously that stuff has either changed or it includes a lot of speculation that is no longer speculative. So,
Right.
but Ruby Rogues has a ton of evergreen content that I can do. That's the other thing that I may do is I may actually go in and just pull like a general Ruby Rogues episode and just say, hey, this week we're gonna drop in this episode from Ruby Rogues because I know that people are interested in this topic.
Yeah. Yeah, there were so many good older episodes that you could reuse.
Yep.
So much of it was like high level like architectural stuff or whatever that doesn't really change. So
Yep. Yeah, the other thing I like, so I just dropped in an old episode of Adventures in Angular and just told Eric we'd publish it this week. And then, I just leave a blank spot on the web page and then I just, put it back in the feed. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. But yeah.
Nice.
But anyway, it's been super frustrating this week just dealing with that, and then everything else.
Could you also use that? You might not need to do this anymore, but could you use that to help you get caught up with the other episodes too? Like if you released some back episodes of one of the podcasts that's behind, you'd already have the show notes done, so it'd buy you a little extra breathing space to get the show notes written.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm looking at doing at this point. I still want to put fresh content in most of the time. Like
Right,
I don't want to do like 2 or 3 refreshes in a row.
Yeah, yep. But it buys you a week.
It does buy me a week. So this week it's going to be a repeat. Next week it's going to be a fresh episode of Adventures in Angular. And the week after, I'm probably just going to pick one of the talks, probably by the developer advocate from Google that's speaking at Angular Dev Summit. I'm just going to probably drop his talk in as the episode. And I'm just going to let my folks know, my co-hosts, look, you know what, this is what we're doing this week. But the other thing is I want to set up a system with them so that essentially it's, hey, look, if we don't have somebody scheduled next week, then we have a list of things that we'll prepare to talk about, right? And that way it's not a surprise and we can just jump in and hit it good.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And that way, because sometimes what happens is there's no guest and it's like, what in the heck are we going to talk about? And so I just want to brainstorm some ideas and then essentially check the calendar and say, is there something lined up here? Nope, there's not. We're within our 1 week time frame where we, we pull something in. And then if somebody cancels at the last minute, I mean, those are the ones that we scramble for.
Right.
But we've had that happen a few times. And there's one guy, he canceled on us last minute like 3 times in a row, and so the last time he's like, "So do you want me to reschedule?" And I was like, "Nope."
That was one time too many.
Yep. Yeah, after like the second or third time, I was like, "Nope, nope. You don't need to do that."
Nice. What what is involved in doing one episode? Like preparing the show notes for one episode?
So essentially, what they have to do is they have to listen to it. They they write up a summary of the show, and the summary has a pretty specific format. So it has kind of subheaders. I tell them to
Okay.
use header 4
Okay.
in WordPress, and anyway, that has the timestamp of when that part of the conversation started, and then just
Okay.
like kind of a 1-line, 5-word, 1-sentence sort of, this is what this section's about, and
Right.
then it just kind of goes into the finer points, and they get a paragraph or two about what we talked about in there,
Yeah.
or more if it's a longer section.
Do they need any like programming background to make it work? Or?
Surprisingly, not as much.
Okay.
Sometimes it gets pretty jargon heavy,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the time we're talking in general enough terms about concepts that they can kind of figure out how they fit together. And the specific deeper understanding that you need for the conversation, that doesn't need to come through in the show notes anyway. People just need to know generally what we talked about in that section. So most people don't need a deep understanding of software development or JavaScript or whatever in order to write those sections, because it's the panel discusses this library or this technique or this whatever, and they talk about the pros, which usually include something like this or that, and the cons, which includes this or that. It's pretty clear, even if they don't know what all the terms mean. They can pull together sentences like those and make it work. And then if somebody wants to go back and listen to the episode, then they can come to the website and they can click on the player and set it to that timestamp, and then just go with it from there. So
interesting. Well, yeah, hiring some technical writers sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not going to put them on all of the shows. I mean, it may evolve to that point, as people drop out and somebody goes, "Well, I have the bandwidth for that too."
Right.
But they'll have to have been reliable for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. This is at this point, I think it would make sense to do the hire 10 people thing on UpWork again.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Just give them all the same podcast to edit.
Yep.
And hire 10 people. You might even consider writing out. So like write out what you're going to have them do, and then strategically leave out some stuff.
That's what I did last time.
Okay, to see if they pick up on it and ask you questions. And so yeah, last time did you do that? Was when you did the big interview, or no, that was for the personal assistant, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, so yeah, I'm firing more people. Seems like it's a theme for me on this show, but
well, I mean, yeah, it seems like you kind of have to go through about 10 to 20 people to find somebody really good, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Eric also mentioned that he has a technical writer that he's gonna send my way.
Okay.
That he's worked with in the past. So, I'm kind of hoping that they're reliable as well, and that may alleviate at least some of this. But yeah, I had somebody who went through a coding boot camp who was interested in writing show notes, and then he got an internship and he doesn't have time anymore. So.
Yeah, I think anybody that's like a programmer or from the audience is going to be that's going to probably what's going to happen. Unfortunately, I think you need somebody who's like a freelance writer.
Yep.
Who actually can handle deadlines. So that's the.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that the way I was handling it before is I have an Asana board that's kind of like a Trello board.
Yeah.
And I would put the episode in, and I would set the due date for the episode to be the release date. And so I think that was the other thing, is they'd put it off until the night before release. And so
Yeah.
What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just put in separate tasks for each step.
Hmm.
And so there will be a task for editing. Those will be assigned to Eric. There will be a task for writing the show notes. And there will be another task for posting it to WordPress and to the feed
Yeah.
manager.
Hmm.
And that way I can just see it all flow in the channel. And then because I can hook that up. I'm probably going to move off of Asana for this. I'm looking at another system that integrates nicely with MatterMost, and that way, if when they take ownership of the when they move it into I'm working on this, it'll notify me in MatterMost because I'm moving off of Slack and in MatterMost.
Oh,
for this.
okay.
And then
Why is that? I'm curious.
because they charge per user,
Oh,
and it's
right.
turned into this big hassle, where I'm playing musical chairs with a couple of licenses I'm willing to pay for.
Right.
And MatterMost, I just set it up on my server, which took like 10 minutes, and it does pretty much everything that Slack does.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm good with this. So I'm moving everything over. The other thing is the MatterMost app will load Slack channels.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I can run the things that I do in Slack over in MatterMost on that app. So all my chats will all be in the same app anyway.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I'm heading. The other thing is again with some of these others, like I moved Ruby Rogue's Parlay over to Slack, and one of the problems is that it doesn't keep the backlog because it's a free Slack.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want it to keep the backlog. Same with the conferences. It doesn't keep the backlog. So if somebody comes into the channel, they can't see everything that went on before. So then they're asking me, well, where are the videos again? And stuff like that. Yeah. So
Nice.
but yeah, so that's kind of where I'm looking. But then I can keep tabs on it, right? And I can just log in. I'll just make it part of my routine on like Friday or Monday to log into, Fulcrum is the system I'm going to be using, and it's an open source pivotal tracker clone. That's what it is.
Okay.
And then I can see, okay, these things are still in the backlog, and they're due tomorrow, or they're due today. And so I can get in and I can be like, all right, this has got to get done. And then I can also let them know. I mean, if they're halfway done with the show notes and they move it over to I'm working on this and I do the show notes, I'm not paying them for show notes. So
yeah, no.
Just kind of be explicit with people. Look, it's got to be done by the deadline. And if not, then let me know that it's going to be done on time. And don't make a routine of that, or you're going to have an employment problem.
Right.
But anyway, so that's kind of the fix I've got going there.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, everything broke this week. My house broke. My podcast production pipeline broke. But everything did kind of come together for Angular Remote Conf, and so I'm really excited about that coming together.
Sweet. Yeah, I think in the future, I think we talked about this before, but I think for you it's pretty much has to be a zero tolerance policy.
Yeah.
On missing deadlines, because like as soon as they miss something, then it's like the wheels come off.
Yeah.
And
well, and that's the thing too, is like if I feel like if I get into the chat and I basically say, hey, it looks like this podcast episode, you haven't done anything on it and it's supposed to go out tomorrow, and I do that kind of first thing Monday morning, because I absolutely refuse to work Sundays unless I absolutely have to. So first thing Monday morning, it's like, hey, look, this isn't happening the way it's supposed to, and they say, oh, I forgot to update the tracker. Then I can say, okay, well, you need to make sure you're doing that. Thanks for letting me know. Basically, you're on notice, right? And if they haven't done anything with it, then they're definitely on notice. And if they do it again, then I will find somebody else.
Yeah,
but I'm not screwing around with it at this point, because
yeah,
I can't spend a day and a half out of every week writing the stupid show notes.
I would, if I were you, I would draw the line at having to ask them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would, because you like you can't. This is how it's been with me with VAs. It's like every time I've tried to hire somebody, if I ever have to follow up with them about something,
Mm-hmm.
that's like a huge red flag, and usually they're going to disappear on me. So
Yeah.
if they're not proactively communicating with you, I mean, like, take the time, document exactly like what the communication steps are. So it's like, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know, acknowledge that you have started work on this, change the status of the task to whatever, move it from here to there, like, whatever this,
Yeah.
put the steps for that like right in there with the editing. And if they don't follow that, like, that's it. That's because you can't afford to have to go in there. I mean, it's fine to
Yeah.
go in there and check once in a while, but you can't afford that to have to do
I don't
that every
want to
week.
have to do that.
Yeah, you can't afford it, because if you're traveling for a week, right? This is the time when
That's what blew it up this last time. I went to
yeah,
VMworld.
exactly.
I came back and
Yep.
I played catch up for 3 days. Yeah, and then we had another week's worth of episodes that
You
were
have
getting
to be able to
recorded.
take your eye off of it once in a while and not worry that it's gonna implode on you.
Yeah.
So.
But at least for the first little while, I'm going to be watching it like a hawk.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I mean, maybe you required like a weekly check-in or a daily check-in or something from them.
Yep.
Or like a daily report or whatever status checks. So.
Yep.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean.
But yeah, I'm learning the hard way what I got to do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, like at a newspaper, I used to work at a newspaper, and they'd have a daily. They were they'd have they had a daily meeting. The editors knew exactly what was what everybody was supposed to be doing, and if you didn't hand it in, like that was it. They would have showed you the door.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I know that makes total sense. I just don't understand why it's so hard to get people to act like adults. I mean, just do what you freaking said you'd do.
I know. Well, part of it too is that probably like all the people, we're trying to get this done on a budget too. That's part of the problem. Like, all the people, a lot of the really good people are being paid more than we're really willing to pay or able to pay. So
yeah, that's true.
That's part of the problem. Or or if you're hiring somebody who's going to work part-time, by definition, either there's somebody who for some reason can't do a full-time job,
right,
most likely at that time. So that's going to make them a little bit less reliable in general. So.
Yep. Anyway, enough about Chuck's problems. What are Josh's problems? What's going on in Simple Programmer?
Oh man. So yeah, I spent a big chunk of the week actually trying out different, like, working on sponsorship stuff. So I figured I looked at HubSpot CRM after we talked about it last week, and I said something about it being too expensive, I think. Well, the CRM part of it is free.
I was going to say they have a free tier on it.
Yeah, they do, and it's really good. It's actually the best. It's probably the best CRM tool that I've used, and it's completely free. And then the sales, like, you can add the sales piece, and that's only $50 a month per user. So that's not bad at all. I was really excited because HubSpot has like some really amazing workflow stuff that's kind of like the drip workflows, where you can like create tasks and stuff. Like you could create tasks based on if they visit the sponsorship page. You could create a have the workflow create a task for you to follow up with them, even though you didn't, because it's got tracking on the website as well. So, but I found out that the marketing, so that's part of the HubSpot marketing package, which is like $800 a month. So that's pretty much a non-starter for us. So I was kind of heartbroken. But I pulled over a bunch of, basically pulled over all of my contacts into HubSpot, because it lets me do scheduled tasks. I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still really trying to figure out how to use it the most effectively. My problem is that I get people into, I get all my data into one of these tools, and then there's not, like, something is missing, and I'm not able to get a good view of the data, and it gets to be too much. It's like, the closest analogy I can think of is when I was writing my first book, my Sublime book. It got to about 20,000 words, and I had been managing it in text files. And then it got to be too big, and I couldn't see what pieces I'd done. I lost the big picture, and then I couldn't work on it anymore.
Yeah, I've been having that same problem with, like, Zoho, for example. I mean, it'll show me all the tasks that I've set up.
Right.
But yeah, you know, I want something that's going to prompt me to routinely follow up.
Yeah.
But I also want something that's smart enough to say, oh, they got back to me. You don't need to follow up with them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And Blue Tick is much more outbound than inbound.
Yeah.
So it does some of that, and a lot of these other tools do that. So
HubSpot has a Gmail plugin. That's really good. So basically, it knows when they reply to you. And so so far I haven't set up the sequences yet. So the sequences are the automated part where you can, and that's in the paid version. And you can send them through a sequence of emails. But the Gmail plugin is really nice, because I'll get somebody will email me, and I can one-click add the company, one-click add the contact, and then I can edit it right there in the sidebar. It's the best. It's probably the best CRM plugin that I've used, and it's got, like, logging and tracking. The part that I'm having trouble with is figuring out how to, like, so I have, like, say I have a company that I want to reach out to, like Linode, right, is on my list to reach out to. Well, so I have to, what I need is, like, a way to say, okay, I just need to keep hammering away until I get in at Linode, right? I need some kind of stage. I need a list of all the companies that I'm trying to get in contact with, that's visual, that I can see at a glance. And
yes,
I need stages.
I want that too. Yeah,
I have so HubSpot has
Zoho has that.
They have deal pipelines.
Yes.
But the problem that I'm having with the HubSpot deal pipelines is they're not, like, you can't sort anything. There's no, like, so it just shows you, like a Trello. It looks like a Trello board, with cards, but there's no information other than the company name on the card. So you can't see, like, due date. You can't see what the next task is. You can't see anything. You have to go into the card and then dig around to figure out what you need to do next. So it's like, I mean, I'm not sure. I think what I'm going to end up having to do is, like, have a process where like a manual process, like a manual review step where I just go in maybe once a week and, like, go and look at all the companies on the board and say, okay, what's next with this one? What's next with this one? Okay, that person didn't get back to me. I need to find somebody else, and just sort of manually work through it, because there's just, the tool itself just doesn't quite give me that. It's great for managing contacts, so I'm really liking that part of it, and it's probably the best thing that I've found for that. But good grief, like, why is this so hard?
Yeah, the other thing that drives me crazy is that, that deal setup, it's totally not how I think about these deals. And the stages that they hard code into them aren't really the stages I go through. And then the other thing is that I want a separate, I want a couple of columns for, like, longer term follow-up. Or, things like that. And then I just want it to have reasonable default, so it just knows to prompt me to do the right thing at the right time instead of
Yeah.
me having to go in every time and go, oh, okay, so I just followed up with them again via email. Now I need to set up another task in a week to blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's such a pain.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Yeah, I've got so HubSpot's deals are completely configurable.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have them be. So I basically have two pipelines. I have one is like I'm just trying to get in touch with them and send them the media kit. To me, that's like I'm going from creating. I'm starting with a company that knows nothing about Simple Programmer, and getting them the media kit. To me, that's one pipeline. I'm just basically trying to get a basic awareness that we exist. And then the other one is somebody's contacted me or expressed interest in actually sponsoring. So I have to like, negotiate the package with them, send them a contract, whatever, what all the steps are. So and HubSpot's pretty good for that case. Where I'm struggling with it more is on the outreach, and it's because like the outreach piece, you have to reach out to 100 companies to get like 2 or 3 that are interested, and that's where it gets complicated because there's so much. Like, you need a really good tool because otherwise you can't manage 100 companies in your head or on Trello or in a spreadsheet, because I've tried.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm probably gonna stick with. I think I'm gonna stick with HubSpot. I think it's probably the best. I haven't yet figured out if there's a way to do automatically recurring tasks.
Well, in Zoho, you can set repeating tasks.
Yeah,
but it says,
they're a pain.
Well, the other issue is it says, set this task to repeat.
Yeah.
And then it creates all 6 or 10 or whatever of them at once.
Yes.
And it's like, no, that doesn't help.
That's not what I wanted. Yeah, what I wanted is a timed reminder, not a bunch of visual clutter that now. Yeah, I remember I did. I think, and isn't it like you can pick it? You can have it repeat up to like X times or something.
Yes.
So, and then you have to remember to go back in. Yeah, that was actually one of the things that turned me off of Zoho, was the way that they did the repeating tasks. They're so lame.
So I've got a bunch of information in there that I'm probably going to wind up pulling out at some point because I'm not really loving it. It's sufficient,
Salesforce
but it's not
the same way.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that I also want a CRM that allows me to do different kinds of follow-up. So I have the one follow-up that is, hey, do you want to sponsor? And that's pretty straightforward because it's a sales process, and a lot of sales processes look similar at least. But then I've also got follow-up for things like the conferences, right? And it's like, hey, do you want to speak? Hey, I'm checking in again. Do you want to speak? This is my final attempt to see if you want to speak. And then if they say yes, then I've got to follow up. Okay, I don't have an image for you yet. I don't have your talk title yet, and again, doing that routine, but I'm not trying to win a deal.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to get all the information I need. It's the same with the sponsors, right? It's well, and especially where I need a two-week lead time now. It's, hey, I need the information. If you don't give me the information, I'm not going to be able to get you in next week or the week after.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's basically the problem that I have is that there's two like buckets of, there's like the cold bucket where I need to do the outreach, and that's what most CRM tools are designed with that in mind. It's like cold outreach to customer. And that's not really, so like what I'm trying to do is cold outreach, and then warm follow-up regularly. And they're like completely different. The way that I want to handle them is completely different from each other. So I haven't found a tool that does both, and I haven't been able to. I don't know. Maybe if I sync, then maybe I could find a way to like sync a couple of tools.
We're programmers. Let's just build one.
Oh gosh, no. No.
I have to say, as crazy as it sounds, I've been tempted on more than one occasion. I can't find what I want. I'm just gonna
No.
freaking build what I want. But I don't think I could do that and do it in the serious enough way that it needs to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it as just kind of a gee whiz, and then if I got something that was actually more workable than any other CRM, but I would never. I'm not the kind of programmer that would go in and put the kind of polish into it that would make it an actual
Yeah.
viable SaaS.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean even like, sales or HubSpot's pretty awesome, and they've got, I don't know how huge their team is, but
Yeah.
there's still like a lot of things missing from it that I want. So
Well, that's the other thing I have to say is that I think the CRM market's pretty incestuous. Most of them have the same set of features, and then they've got like a couple of fiddly things here or there that are different.
yeah, I really like contextually. There's just like a couple of things about it that just absolutely destroy it, and one of them is the
Yeah.
way that they integrate with your Gmail, so that they pull in
Yep.
every freaking person. So like HubSpot does not do that. They integrate really well with Gmail, but they don't like force you to deal with every single
Mm-hmm.
every single email address that pops up in your inbox like contextually does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, but I'm gonna keep fiddling with it, and eventually I'll figure something out. I think what I might end up with is like a semi-manual process where I like do some kind of weekly review on all the companies, and then I manually create the tasks that I need, and then I have a couple of task views, because you can do like pretty good reporting in HubSpot on like tasks and just create ad hoc reports. So I might just have like a couple of ad hoc reports that I create that show me, kind of give me the heads up view that I want. But it is going to be a pain to figure out the process.
Yeah, but the thing that makes me crazy about that is probably 90% of the process you just described could be done by a computer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing that gets me is like,
I know.
a little bit of forethought, and they could add that in so that you wouldn't have to do it.
Right. Right. I think I could get a lot of it. I think if I had the marketing integration too, then I think it would fix a lot, because with that you can build these workflows, and you can be like, okay, added a new contact, and then you add them to, you label them somehow, and then boom, it kicks off an automation, which creates tasks, maybe sets some deadlines, so that would probably take care of a lot of it. It would help standardize things because it would be an automated workflow, but I don't know. But yeah, it's killing me because the tool. I really feel like the lack of having a good tool for this is probably costing us like $20,000 a month, because
Yeah.
I feel like if I had the right tool, I could work the system, but I just get stuck where as soon as I get to any kind of volume, I can only handle like 5 companies at a time, and that's not enough. Like when you're doing this kind of cold outreach, it's got to be in mass. So,
Yep.
but
I agree.
yeah, so that was fun. And then I got our membership site set up and
What'd you
launched.
settle on?
So I ended up going with so we're sticking with ThriveCart for the front end. So ThriveCart's great. It's pretty much the best shopping cart tool that I've found. And you can get it right now. You can get it for like $500 for life. So there's no monthly
Oh wow.
recurring fee. Yeah, because they're still like kind of in a beta phase, but it's really like it's really powerful. It can do everything that Zaxa did for us, only without the horrific problems that we've had with Zaxa. So that's a plus. So then ThriveCart integrates directly with Digital Access Pass, and that is what I ended up using. And oh my goodness, so I spent 2 hours on Wednesday morning trying, because so at 3:30 I had to leave. I had to quit work at like 3:30 on Tuesday. So at 3:15 I decided, what the heck, I'll make the digital toolkit for the free. So I've been setting up the free bonus for the book, the career guide book. I've been migrating that because I had the files just out on a public page.
Right.
So you'd go through the checkout process, and then the files were literally just public. If you knew the right URL, you can get them. So I wanted to get them into this membership site. So at 3:15, I was like, on Tuesday, I was like, I got to leave in 15 minutes. What the heck? I'm just gonna flip the switch and make this new system live, and then I'll be able to and just see what happens.
Right.
Well, fortunately, I decided to test it because it didn't work at all. It was completely hosed, and I couldn't figure out why. So I ended up just going. I was able to easily revert back to the old system. So on Wednesday, I spent 2 hours trying to figure out why this integration was breaking. So basically, in Digital Access Pass, you create a product, and then in ThriveCart, you have, it just says like enter the product ID of the product from Digital Access Pass, and it'll hand off the data, and they'll get access. Well, it worked fine when I had tested it on a test product, and it worked perfect. And then exact same configuration, everything was exactly the same when I went to the product I actually wanted to make live, and it wasn't working. So it took me 2 hours, but I finally figured it out. It's because there was an apostrophe in the title of.
Oh no.
So it was the product that I was trying to make live was the Complete Software Developers Career Guide Digital Toolkit.
Right.
Right. So the way I figured it out was I created a new product, like I just in Digital Access Pass. I just created a brand new product, and then copied piece by piece all the information and configuration from the toolkit product until it broke, and it was the freaking title. There was an apostrophe in it. I don't know why. Like, obviously somebody thought they were getting clever with their SQL escaping or something. But yeah, so other than that, it's been working out really well so far. So we've got basically now when you buy the product, you check out through ThriveCart, and then it hands off to Digital Access Pass, which sends you login information, so like your username and password, sends that to you, and then you log into the membership site, and you can download everything from there. So it's membership.simpleprogrammer.com. And yeah, we've gotten some good feedback from it. I sent out an email to everyone who'd used the old system to let them know that I was importing them into the new system, and then we've had people using it all week so far, and it seems like it's going really well. So the cool thing about it is it shows when you log in, it shows you what you have, and then it shows you all the courses that you don't have. So it's like we're actually promoting and advertising the other stuff, yeah, too. And it's listed there with underneath your other products, and it's grayed out and has like a get access button and everything. So that's exactly what we were hoping for. So
very cool.
Yeah, so I'm liking it. Digital Access Pass is like, the company is pretty lame. I've not been impressed with the support so far. Their Amazon S3 plugin. Oh, this was the other thing I wasted like an hour and a half trying to troubleshoot. So they have an Amazon S3 plugin that lets you do secure downloads, and they use there's like an older version of the Amazon authentication scheme, and I found a Stack Overflow question from 2014 where they were asking about this. Amazon had just released the version 4 of their authentication back in like 2014, and so this standard has been deprecated for like 3 years now, and Digital Access Pass is still using it for their plugins. And if you go, so depending on which bucket or which region you pick in Amazon S3, it'll work selectively. So their solution is just pick one of the other regions. You have to like create a new bucket in the US East region, and then as long as you use the right region, it works. So apparently they're not planning to update their code because it still works in like 3 or 4 parts of the country.
Oh,
So yeah, but yeah, for now we'll probably end up going to something else at some point, but for now this is working really well. I'm hoping that ThriveCart rolls out some other integrations and we'll have more choice later on, but for right now it's getting the job done. So
cool. Well, I'll have to have a look at it because I'm kind of leaning toward setting something similar up for devchat.tv, because MemberPress is turning into kind of a hassle to maintain with some of the, like if you have one membership or, different levels of a membership, that works fine. But where I'm trying to give people access to a whole bunch of different stuff,
yeah,
it's turning into a little bit of a headache.
Well, yeah, ThriveCart, I was looking at MemberPress, but I was going to have to manage it through Zapier because there was no native integration, and it was looking like I would need like multiple zaps per product to make it work. So I'm pretty happy with it. Digital Access Pass is nice because it's very product centric. So you create products, and then you basically just attach content to the products, and so I'm pretty happy. It's not designed for digital courses, but you could buy a course plugin and then it would work with that. W3 courseware is designed to work with it.
Oh, so nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look at it.
Yeah, I think for what you're doing, either that or the Restrict Content Pro, like the setup that Derek has, might be good too. But it's definitely Digital Access Pass is very like, it's kind of like early 2000s internet marketer type of look and feel to it, and it's probably been around about that long. It's probably 10 or 15 years old at this point. So. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on all week. Not much. I haven't heard much from John. So he's getting back. I think he'll be back next Friday. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm really curious to see how this works out for you. And if there's any way I can kind of just look and see what you've got set up there, that would be nice. I think I'd really like that. So.
Yeah, when I get everything moved over, I could do a little screen share with you and just show you how it works, because it's a little hard to describe, but it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's really not that complicated. Once I get it, we should be able to deploy a new product within like an hour. And that was really my goal, was to have it to where we could. I wanted the setup process to be simple enough that we could put a new product together in like an hour or two, and not spend like 3 days configuring a bunch of stuff just to get a product out there.
Yeah, the only other thing that I think would be nice is, so I've used a number of different systems for like the virtual conferences, and it would be nice if you're logged into your account setup, it tells you have access to these conferences and not those. And then, so you can click it and you can, it's like, you have access to it just the live, or you have access to it where you get the recordings and everything else.
Right.
So paid. And then, but if people want to come and like go to the homepage of the conference, I'd like to be able to just edit kind of a template landing page for that. And keep that relatively simple. So.
Yeah.
Because I just need one page, and then they click it, and it, they can either log in and then pay, or they can just pay.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I could also just set up a landing page on some other system, and then when they click to sign up, it takes them over to members.devchat.
Yeah, digital access pass does like allow you to set up shopping cart. You could actually use it as your complete shopping cart. It does upsells and everything too. So I was thinking about actually using it as my shopping cart, but the setup was too complicated, so I ended up just sticking with ThriveCart. But it could work as an all-in-one.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Anyway, sounds like you made some headway. It just wasn't all fun and games.
No. Yeah, good stuff.
Yep. Then I've also just been playing with learning Angular and Angular material.
Nice.
Yeah.
So carving out some time to just learn.
Yeah, just to learn and kind of play with code. I forgot how much I enjoy it. So.
Yeah, actually this week I got to do a little bit of like just scripting, like shell scripting, and I automated a few things, and that always just makes me so happy.
I love freaking automating stuff, and then
Yeah.
when it just takes a crap ton of stuff off my plate, that's always nice too.
Oh yeah, I figured out one thing that I spent a couple hours yesterday actually. I've been wanting to be able to, for our sponsors, I don't do any reporting at all right now. And what I've wanted to be able to do is send them a weekly or a monthly report with clicks, video views, whatever, email opens, whatever. And so I figured out how to do that with pretty much just with Google Analytics. I can get most of the data all pulled into one place. So I was pretty excited. So PrettyLink Pro is the plugin we use to create the short links for our sponsors. You can have, you can add tracking code like a HTML or like a script, JavaScript, to the redirect. So now when you click, I set it up so that it's sending out Google Analytics events. Whenever somebody clicks a sponsor link or types it in, it'll hit our redirect page, and then and push the data up to Google Analytics. So now I've got like a clean view. I can say exactly how many email opens they received and how many clicks they got. That data was all there. It's all there in Drip, but I have to dig it out. And it's a ton of work to dig it out. Like I have to actually go and look at a bunch of different emails and use a spreadsheet and everything to calculate it. So just automating that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, well, should we do thoughts? I don't know if I have anything else to bring up.
Yeah, I'm actually not even sure if I have a thought.
I don't know if I do either. I mean, I guess the thing that I've been thinking about lately, and it's funny because with everything that's kind of broken here, today or a few months ago that I found out about today, I know a lot of people that when things go wrong, they just, why does this stuff always happen to me? This is just terrible, and they kind of go off into victim land. And I never do. Like, I don't. Things get tough and, I'll get discouraged. But I always come back around to, okay, I got to fix it.
Yep.
And, the people who have the worst lots in life, in my experience and from what I'm able to see, are generally the people that just full on accept that they're victims and that there's nothing they can do. And so, if you're one of those people, if you're in that situation, start looking for solutions instead of just focusing on the problems. There's a thought.
Yay. Yeah, I think for me, I guess one of the themes this week has been, like I mentioned, the taking the time, stopping, taking the time to, either fix a problem or automate, basically take the time to actually automate it, figure out what the steps are so that next time. So one example was I had, we have this new requirement from we have this company that runs our advertising on 3 different websites, and they have this new requirement now that you have to have an ads.txt file.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's basically just saying, it's like an authentication saying you've authorized them to resell for you, and so that the companies that advertise will check your ads.txt to make sure that they're showing up on legitimate sites, basically. So it's like a validation thing. And so I had set this up, and then she came back to me and she was like, "Oh, we need you to update this." And I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be something that I'm gonna have to do every 2 weeks, I think, because she's got more. Every time a new advertiser comes on with them, they have to update. We're gonna have to update the stupid text file." So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Okay, all right, stop everything. I'm gonna spend." It took me like an hour and a half, but I figured out how to get access to all the different servers through SSH and get the scripting set up to just deploy this stupid thing really easily now. So now it's like, from now on it'll be a 2-second thing instead of a half hour every time I do it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's worth it. It's worth stopping and taking that time sometimes.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm gonna go get to some plumbing.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, fun. Fun. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, fun.
Definitely. Yeah. All right.
And what I'm hoping for is a simple fix. So everyone cross your fingers for me.
I got them crossed.
All right.
Alrighty. Good luck. See ya.
Yep. Bye.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the Entre Programmers, and we'll teach you straight up.